The house had been empty for years. No light, no sound, no reason to be watched. But every night, at exactly 3:13 a.m., a shadow moved behind the upstairs window. Too slow for wind, too real for memory. They said no one lived there. The mail stopped coming. The windows stayed dark, except that one. Each night, the light would flicker on, then off again, as if something inside was trying to remember what it meant to be seen. He walked the path behind the house, the one no map showed, no neighbor mentioned. Branches clawed at his coat, but he didn't stop. The trail curved more than it should have, as if trying to lead him back to where he started. He came to a second house. Same shape, same window, but the door was wrong newer, as if replaced, and the light inside was already on, like it had been waiting for him to arrive. He stepped closer. Raindrops slid down the glass, but one moved differently from the inside. Then came the sound. A faint tap. Once, then again. Not loud, but enough to make him forget the cold. Behind the glass, there was movement. Not a person. Not quite. The shape leaned forward, but its face never reached the light. He didn't breathe. Didn't blink. Whatever it was, it knew he was there. A voice rose, muffled by the glass, but it wasn't coming from the figure. It sounded older, worn, like someone remembering a dream out loud. He leaned in, heart pounding, and though he couldn't understand the words, he felt they were meant for him. The click was soft, too soft for a storm like this, but he heard it the sound of a lock turning from the other side. The figure inside stepped back and vanished into the dark room. He waited, breath caught in his throat. Then, the door creaked open just a little. He stepped inside, slow, careful. The floor creaked like it remembered him. Shadows danced across the walls, longer than they should have been. There was warmth, but not comfort, as if the house was trying to feel alive again, only to remember. It had forgotten how. He called out once, not too loud. "Is anyone here?" His voice didn't echo. It just vanished, as if the walls had swallowed it whole. Pictures on the wall looked at him, crooked, silent. And then, something upstairs creaked back. He climbed the stairs slowly, each step a question the house refused to answer. The air thickened, not with dust, but with memory. At the end of the hall, a door stood half open. Inside, the room was untouched, like someone had left it yesterday. Only one thing had changed. The photograph on the dresser was missing its face. He climbed the stairs slowly, each step a question the house refused to answer. The air thickened, not with dust, but with memory. At the end of the hall, a door stood half open. Inside, the room was untouched, like someone had left it yesterday. Only one thing had changed. The photograph on the dresser was missing its face. He stepped inside. The floor creaked like it remembered him. Curtains swayed, though no wind touched them. On the wall, faint outlines, as if pictures had once hung there, but were torn away. The silence wasn't empty. It was watching. He walked down the narrow hallway. Each step echoed not once, but twice, as if something followed in perfect silence. The wallpaper peeled like old skin, and the door at the end was open, though no one had touched it. As he stepped through the open door, a sudden chill passed through him, sharp and wrong. The room was empty, yet felt recently left. A chair rocked gently by itself. No wind, no draft, just that cold, like breath on the back of his neck. He moved deeper into the house. Floorboards creaked under each careful step. Photographs on the wall faces he almost remembered, their eyes seeming to follow. At the end of the hallway, a door stood open just wide enough to suggest it had been waiting. Inside, the air felt thick, not from dust, but from something unsaid. A mirror hung on the far wall, its surface fogged from the inside. He stepped closer. There was no reflection, only the outline of someone who hadn't moved in years, but had never left. He turned away from the mirror, but the whisper came from behind him. Not words, just the shape of breath. Slow, familiar. His name, maybe, or the memory of it. He didn't look back. Some things aren't meant to be seen twice. He stepped back, but the room behind him wasn't the hallway. It was longer, wider, wrong. Walls stretched too far. Lamps flickered overhead, but there were no switches. And the door he came from? Gone. He walked, but the hallway sloped downward now, as if leading beneath the house to something it had buried long ago. The walls narrowed, the air thickened, and somewhere ahead, a light blinked once, then vanished. He paused. From behind the wall, a voice, soft, familiar, not calling, humming. The tune scraped at something inside him. He whispered, "Mom." No answer, but the song kept going, as if it never stopped. He followed the hum until it stopped before a narrow door. Old, peeling, but warm somehow. He placed his hand on the knob. The air smelled like her perfume, like childhood. He almost smiled. Almost. He opened the door. Warm light spilled out, too gentle for this place. A small room. Familiar blankets. A cracked photo frame beside the bed. And in the air, her voice again. Not humming this time. Just one word, whispered from nowhere. "Stay." He picked up the photo. The glass was cracked, but not broken. A woman's face, half shadowed, half smiling. He knew her, or wanted to. Then, just beneath the frame, a note folded tight. Faded ink. 3 words. "Don't trust her." Paper crinkled in his hand. But behind him, the floor creaked. One step, then another. Slow, careful. He turned, but the hallway was empty. Still, the air felt changed, like something had entered, but hadn't shown itself yet. He stepped into the hall again. The lights flickered, not electric, as if the air itself was thinning. At the far end, a figure, tall, still, no face, only a hand pointing to the room behind him. He didn't move, neither did it. Then, the figure took a step, slow, like it had just learned how. Floorboards groaned under its weight. His breath caught not from fear, but something worse. Recognition. He'd seen that shape. In a dream he never wanted to remember. He stepped back. The figure didn't follow, but the air changed. A voice, dry, broken, like leaves crushed in old hands, whispered his name. Not loud, not angry, just certain, as if it had always known he would come. He turned to run, but the hallway was gone. Behind him now, a room he didn't remember. Familiar furniture, his mother's perfume in the air, the smell of rain on warm carpet. He hadn't been here in years, because this room never existed outside his dreams. A kettle hissed from the kitchen. He hadn't heard that sound in years. Then, his mother's voice, soft, calling his name just like she used to, when the nightmares were worst. But she was gone. Had been for a long time. He stepped into the kitchen. She was there. His mother, sitting at the old table, pouring tea, same smile, same cardigan, but her hands never stopped shaking, and her eyes were wrong. They didn't look at him. They looked through him. She offered him tea. Her smile never moved. Then she spoke again, but the voice wasn't hers. Deeper, colder, like something trying to sound kind, but forgetting how. The cup in her hand trembled, and the tea turned black. He stepped back. The woman, his mother, still smiled, but her pupils had vanished. In their place, a deep, endless dark that shimmered like something was watching from inside her. And almost ready to speak, he turned to run. The lights flickered. Once, then again. Her breath, not his own, touched his ear. He looked back, and she blinked. Not slowly, not human, like something waking up inside her skin. She didn't stand. She crawled slow and stiff, like her bones remembered how to move, but her skin had forgotten why. He backed away, his breath catching on something thick in the air. Then she spoke. One word. Low. Wet. Stay. He turned to run, but the hallway was gone. In its place, a wall that hadn't been there before. The wallpaper pulsed. It was breathing. Behind him, the floor creaked, but she was still crawling. It wasn't just her. The house was waking up. He pressed his hand to the wall. It was warm, not like a heater, like skin. Then came the whisper, right behind the plaster. It said his name. Not once. Again. Again. Closer each time. He ran. Not far. The house spent space like smoke. Every door opened to the same hallway. Every window showed the same rain. He screamed. Only the walls answered. And somewhere behind it all, the sound of the chair rocking. Again, he stumbled back to the hallway. But something was wrong. The photos on the wall, they had changed. His face was in one now, standing beside people he didn't know. Another photo, he was a child. Then younger. Then gone. The last frame was empty. He turned a corner he didn't remember. And there, on the peeling wall, in faint ink. His name, written once, then crossed out. Written again slightly different. Again. Again. Like someone was trying to remember who he was. He turned from the wall. Footsteps slow, careful, behind him. But when he looked back, there was nothing. Only the hallway, stretching longer than it had before. The air buzzed, like breath caught in someone else's throat. Then, a whisper. His name. From behind the walls, he turned a final corner and froze. There, at the end of the hall, himself. Same jacket, same eyes. But this one wasn't breathing. It just stared, then smiled, and stepped back into the dark. He ran. Down the hall, through the door, into the rain. But when he looked up, there it was again. The same window, the same light, same house, same door opening slowly, as if he had never left. He turned back toward the window. His own reflection stared at him, but didn't move when he did. It blinked first, then mouthed something he couldn't hear. Again and again, until he realized it was saying his name, and it was angry. He stepped back from the window, but the whisper followed him. Not from the hall, not from behind, from inside. Inside his own head, a woman's voice, distant but familiar. You left me here. His hands trembled. He didn't remember, but something in him did. He followed the voice, though it never said where it was. A hallway turned he didn't remember. And there it was, a door painted blue, faded like a memory too long hidden. He reached for the handle, but it was already warm, like it had been waiting for him to come home.